Hello there.
Hi. Jeez.
Welcome to another exciting edition of Cambridge Inside Out.
Where everything is pretty stable.
That's right.
No floods, fires, earthquakes.
My name
Not
is
to
Robert
laugh.
Winters.
Judy Nathans. Yes.
Right. And today is September 19th.
Oh, yes.
Did I get that right? Let's see if I can get the year
yes.
right. I'm not. It's
2017?
2017.
It's getting up there.
I was off by 14 years at an earlier program, I believe.
You said 2003. It was weird.
Yeah, I know. It's getting weird.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's getting weird out there.
So anyway, we're in the midst of a political season.
Oh, boy.
The latter stages of the Red Sox seasons, the early stages of the Patriots season.
Right.
You know, a lot of seasons here.
Sports, right. Mm-hmm.
Right, and fall will begin in a couple of days, right?
Right,
So,
with a few winds and rain.
Winds and rains,
Yeah,
right? We do have a tradition of having rainstorms happen during this program, so we're counting on that. But anyway, just to start off with a few little civic updates and things around town. I'd like to do a little promotion here of the Central Square, the Central Flea.
They're having one
Yeah,
Sunday.
we're having it again. It's the last Sunday of every month through October. So this Sunday, I think September 24th.
Yeah.
I think it's either 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. or noon to 6, something like that, right? Anyway, it's been a great time. We've had beautiful weather each time, so let's see if we, what is it, the third or fourth time around? Fourth time's a charm, too.
Do they have it rain or shine? Some of those,
they
have tents.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty protected, I suppose, but it just wouldn't be very successful if it rained badly.
Have you gone there? I only went the first time.
I've been to all three. Okay. I think that they've been 3 of them so far. And they've actually been great, and they mix up the different vendors, so it's not the same old every time.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
what
really
about
doing
the
a great
food
job.
trucks?
Food trucks is lots of them, lots of choices. So
to me, that was the highlight. The food trucks.
Yeah.
Food's always good. I don't necessarily need vintage jewelry, but
I mean, a lot of us are kind of hoping this will become a fixture of Central Square for the years to come. It's a great thing. But anyway, so then we'll do another one in October, and then we'll call for the year. So that's coming up here. A few little political items. One of the, I don't know if it's sort of been disseminated broadly yet or not, but we now have, I think, officially 2 slates of candidates have been announced.
Oh, I've not seen that. What do you mean officially?
Well, I mean,
you have not. Oh, so you've seen it where? Just because
they put out the word to their lists and and saying these
You're
are
on many more
endorsed,
lists than I am. So
one is that I think we mentioned last week was the Our Revolution.
Oh, that. Yeah, we talked about that. They already have their slate.
Right. So they did that here, and now the Cambridge Residents Alliance has come out with their slate, which just happens to coincide with.
But don't they have a few more names though?
I don't know that they do.
Really?
They just said this is our slate. Well, excuse me. I got to say, I'm not going to say it exactly, but I'll paraphrase. And they said it's not a slate, but we evaluated them based on electability, based on whether they agreed with our platform.
Oh, because they had to submit questions to them too, or answers. Okay.
And we intend to sort of work hard for their election.
Oh, okay. And then
but by the way, it's not a slate.
So who do you want noticeable not on it? What about some of the new one, like Paul Toner, Sean Turney, Alana?
I wouldn't have expected them.
Yeah.
I mean, Alana could have, Sean Turney. Honestly, in terms of the professed principles of Cambridge Residents Alliance, which you can read on their website, they're very upfront about that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of candidates who actually, I think, fit in rather well.
Yeah.
Including some of the minor candidates. So,
they didn't make it?
Well, it certainly seems that they're not selecting their slate. It's not a slate.
They're recommended.
Right, they're a recommended group of candidates who are free to align with other groups if they so wish.
Yeah.
I mean, if there are plenty of other candidates who I think would have fit their criteria just fine.
Maybe they didn't submit the questionnaires.
No, they did.
Oh, they didn't like their answers.
I don't think it's that. I think basically they strategically excluded candidates who they felt were not going to be as strong. That's my personal opinion.
So it parallels the Our Revolution group?
It's identical.
Oh my.
Same 5 individuals.
Really? 5? I thought it was 8.
5.
Oh, 8 were invited to the thing and only 5.
And 5 went past through, right?
5
so
is
it's
a really...
Carlone, Devereaux, Siddiqui, Sivansi, and Zadovec. Right, so that's the group.
Jeez,
right? I actually thought it was kind of interesting because, for example...
Siddiqui, I've yet to... I hope she's tonight.
Yeah, I've met her briefly, but I don't really know her very well. I met Vatsi.
That one surprises me.
She came to my house and rang my bell. We had a nice long conversation. She's a charming, wonderful person.
Is she, now, she's not the student. She's a lawyer, right?
She's a lawyer, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I mean, the bottom line about this whole election season is that there is a surprisingly high number of pretty quality candidates.
So there's 3 women candidates, and then Carlone and who's the other one?
On their site, and Carlone and Zondervan.
Okay, well, that kind of all makes sense.
Yeah. You will sort of see, you know, the way it works typically with sites. Oh, but this is not a site.
Right. Yeah.
Is that there are, you know, it is implied amongst people who are in the know who are the ones who are more favored than others. Now, I'm sure they'll deny it, but you know, and I'm not going to name who I think they are, but you know, there are certain individuals I think in there who will end up as the elected ones, and some who will end up as what we used to call the feeders.
Well, you've got 2 incumbents, which are pretty strong. Yeah.
Right.
And that's also, I think, the reason to narrow it so that those people can maybe get a chance to get maybe the surplus votes or something, right? If you do too many, it's not going to work. Right?
I will say, though, just speaking as a bit of a PR technician, that when you've got 26 candidates and a pretty large number of good candidates, what that probably means is that you have a lot of these what we call mid-tier candidates who end up in the 400 to 700 vote number one votes, which makes it a little harder for there to be multiple candidates that.
What happens to their votes? I mean, it's all selected by a computer whether it goes to someone else, right? Go to their number 2 or
the first pass is you just sort of say, which ballots are valid? Like if somebody is blank, it's not valid, doesn't count, right? But of all the valid ballots that have actual countable choices, they first distribute by the number 1 choices.
Right.
And if for the city council race at least, if anybody's got more than 1/10 of those, they're elected, and you drop them down to the quota. Right. That's the maximum number of ballots you can keep. And at that point, and if there's more than one who break quota, then you do that again as well. Then nobody's got more than they're allowed to keep, and then it's just a series of runoffs from the bottom up. Right? You defeat the bottom one, distribute. Defeat the next one, distribute.
But based on some kind of algorithm?
No. The only algorithm is involved when you have to pick the ballots via the so-called Cincinnati method of the surplus ballots.
Right.
But when you're defeating candidates, there are no surplus. All their ballots transfer to next available choice.
But your own personal ballot will transfer to your next choice, or is it more?
If I voted for Billy Jones, and Billy Jones only had 75 ballots,
what happens?
He's
to his
defeated.
ballots?
Then me and everyone else all of our ballots, you pick them up. The computer picks them up essentially.
Oh, okay. So we'll recognize that.
My number 2 choice. Etc. And on it goes.
Cool.
And so you start with 26 candidates, and then 26 goes down to 25, 24, 23, 22. Eventually, you're down to 10, and whoever's 10th at that point, out you go. And you're down to 9, and essentially the election's over.
2 years ago, how long did it take? So I remember there was some holdup on one of the precincts, right?
The only thing that holds things up is at the count, waiting for some precincts to close up shop.
That's what I meant.
And deliver the memory cards, and then the memory cards get brought to the officials there. They load them up, create little ASCII files. They load them into the tabulation software, and we go. Right, that's the preliminary count.
So it's done before people leave the scene.
It should be. Occasionally, if there's some glitch, there was one year where there was you had to transfer the ballots from the original one over to where it was tabulated via floppy disks, and the floppy disk drive broke.
Oh dear.
And that caused a delay of like an hour.
Well,
we're not doing it with floppies
anymore.
Thank you. I don't think you could buy a floppy drive anymore.
I don't think so.
Right?
Oh, I have a floppy drive.
Really?
Wait, you're not talking about the hard one? Or the round one, like a CD?
No, it's the drive. You used to stick those little diskettes in.
You're talking about the old hard plastic ones. I still have one for my Mac.
So we're doing it a little bit better. It's a little more streamlined, everything's cool. The actual tabulation takes about 1 second.
I know, that's amazing.
Yeah. And so anyway, that'll happen. And the results we call the preliminary results, because it does not include write-ins. The following day.
But what about absentees?
Some absentee ballots, most absentee ballots are actually included and scanned in during election day, so they're all included.
Okay.
The only ones that aren't included are ballots that couldn't be read for whatever reason, like it was rainy that day and the scanner wouldn't accept them.
So somebody
or write-ins
personally look at it.
Yeah, and then on Wednesday, they look at those and they eyeball for voter intent. They then include those. They run the count again. And then then we call those the unofficial results.
I mean, there have been several elections where it's been a matter of 6 or 9 votes, right?
That's right.
And so Minka like a close
and you can,
one?
it was, so there was a call for a recount. Let's hope there's not a recount.
I know, yeah.
But what then happens is, you could actually have a change from the preliminary on Tuesday night to the unofficial on Wednesday night.
Right.
Or Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. But that's still not over because federal law requires that you have to allow 10 days for any possible overseas absentee ballots.
Right.
Usually there's never more than a few. I think there were, there's also escrow ballots, something where somebody says, no, I swear I'm a registered voter.
Oh, and they have to check that out.
And then they have to
So they'll let them do that? If they're not, if they can't find them on the sheet?
You sign an affidavit, etc. Yeah. So I think the last election there were about 9 ballots that kind of fell into that other category.
9 ballots can make a difference.
9 more ballots, and actually some of them had no live choices. But they were included on 10 days later. So the Friday and the week after election day is when things are that becomes the official count.
Okay.
Right. And then if somebody says, hey, I only lost by 2 votes, I want to call for a recount, they could do that too, which.
What's the threshold for recount? Does it have to be under 100 or is it even less than that?
I think you basically petition for a recount, and the election commission, I suppose, could say no way.
It's too big a gap, but when it's that close.
Listen, if one of the fringe candidates who lost on the first count because he only got 37 votes, and he says, I'm demanding a recount.
That's different.
All right, but the point is that the election commission can say, no, we're not granting that, and take us to court.
But on the 11th count, when you lose by 6 votes,
then
you've got a reason to.
They don't have an established rule about it, but
it's more common sense and.
But honestly, if it's within the margin of swing that could have possibly happened if there was a reshuffling of the ballots, then they would probably be obliged to allow for the recount.
Are there write-ins on our ranked choice?
Yes, there are, but those are counted on the Wednesday.
Where do they have room for those? That would be number 27.
The Secretary of State demands that you put in 9 write-in lines.
Oh, that's right. That was the issue. So are they going to do a vertical?
Not 100% sure, and I don't know whether they're going to restrict the number of choices to no fewer than 15, which would have no effect on the election result, but that's still an option. I'll have to go to the next election commission meeting and see what they got to say about that. So anyway, we talked a little bit about the slates here. One thing
not slates.
Oh, excuse me.
The non-slates.
It's not a slate.
Yeah, right.
Right. Actually, by the way, speaking of slates and whatnot, there's another candidate forum happening tonight
that we're going to go to. We're going to hightail it out of here. It starts at 6:30 at that funny building, the Frank.
It's at the Broad Institute. No, it's
the Broad.
At the Broad, which is
we're
right
going to walk a lot further.
No, it's right across the street from there.
It is.
But yeah. And was it like 413 Main Street or something like that? It's just across the railroad tracks down Main Street. I can see it from here.
Oh, come on. Oh, I'm thinking of the Koch Institute, or Koch, excuse me.
It's pretty much, it's right near the Koch Institute.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, so that's happening 6:30 to, 9:30 or something tonight? 9. And there's only a handful, I had them written down, but I don't have them right here. There's only a handful of candidates not coming to it.
I heard 21 as of
21 I think that's about right. 21 out of 26, which is a pretty good take.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting. Arguably a better Cambridge, ABC, who's hosting this one.
They're focusing on housing and zoning or development, I guess.
Zoning in the sense that you needed to generate housing. They
right, so
sort
that's
of
their
pro
focus.
Housing density, particularly transit-oriented, such.
Should be interesting.
But my understanding is that they do intend to actually run a slate. I think they're going to acknowledge it as a slate.
They have well, they said they were going to endorse people. They changed their status too.
Right.
So that,
Yeah, I mean, because there's certain things you can and can't do depending on your legal status. Right? So if you're a 501c3, you can sort of pretend you can't really endorse. So you can say, well, we really think these are nice people, right?
So what do you have to be to actually endorse?
I'm not really sure. And the thing is, even if you endorse, but if you actually expend resources to support your group, then you have to file with the Office of Campaign Political Finance.
So are either of these other two groups like that? Our Revolution or Cambridge Residents?
There is no filing from Our Revolution, so if they spend more than 10 cents promoting the candidates, they are in violation of state law.
But if you use social media and stuff, then you really...
It's freebie. Yeah, I think you can pretty much, there's no real rules. It's Wild Wild West. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Another interesting thing, I went to a meeting on Sunday evening of the Harvard Square Neighborhood Association.
You went to that?
I
Oh,
went to that.
wait, is that the Susan Bly?
Yeah,
Bly?
that's the one, right?
Oh, you did
Now,
go. Don't you have
right.
to pay to go to those?
You know, I kind of thought it was a pretty exclusive group.
I think
You know?
I think you have to pay to go to those, or you
Nah,
have to,
they-
you have
they
to pay
do
to be
that.
a member.
They do a big push to get membership. This
$50
is
or
yeah, this is
something.
Harvard
Yeah.
Square, so you know the thing is
Yeah.
they're looking for some serious dough here.
This is
right?
not the Harvard Square
It
Business
wa-
Association. It's not
No,
right.
no,
This
no.
is a
The Harvard Square Defense Fund essentially
Oh,
has morphed into
Oh, okay, thank you.
rolled
That's-
into
I knew there
the
was a
Harvard
connection.
Square Neighborhood
so
Association.
you went to that.
I went to that. I went to there. I'm going to be really upfront, honest about that. I went there
Yeah.
expecting to have pretty much a bunch of hoity-toity, snobby people, pretty much saying how we got to downzone all of creation
Well,
down to
was it a regular
farmland.
meeting? Was it an agenda for this meeting?
You know, it was about the future of Harvard Square.
Oh,
So
okay.
I went expecting, you know, sort of
Yeah.
real like stop everything,
Uh-huh.
don't do this, don't do that. I heard that they were going to have a zoning petition that's going to be in the pipeline, will
Oh,
appear soon,
goodness. All right.
being written largely by Peter Kroon, with the assistance of others, including Patrick Barrett, actually.
Okay.
And so I was figuring, okay, this is going to be harsh, right?
Yeah.
To my pleasant surprise,
Oh, good.
what they discussed as a potential zoning was actually really sensible. It
Okay.
made sense. It was really talking about best outcomes and how to leverage best outcomes.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't draconian. And we'll see what happens when we get to the final draft, right?
Okay.
But I actually thought it was pretty decent.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's actually important because, you know, I think everybody understands there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of sort of big money flying into town, over
Oh, my
buying
goodness.
on properties, including these.
Well, now that
so-
they announced, right, the
Yeah,
Dow
the Dow
Stearns
Stearns
people, that whole,
Trust,
I mean,
which is-
basically, the whole central part of
That's
Harvard
right.
Square.
Yeah, so some of the most important parcels in Harvard
Yeah.
Square are pretty much going to be sold, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't buy a property like that with the intention of sitting on it. You're going to do something with it eventually. So, and some of them are very underbuilt. I mean, there's one big one that's right around where Brattle Street makes the bend,
where it could go up to 8 stories.
and it's only a one-story building now.
One of them can not, and one can, and it's only, is it only 1 story? Yeah, Philippe's Taqueria
Yeah,
is there.
it's
yeah.
right on top of that one. So, so anyway, it's appropriate that people actually should look at the zoning on this, right? Now, they hadn't settled on everything. I think there were some things where some people are definitely proponents of putting housing over those. So they weren't trying to block housing. I said, pretty
Housing?
good. Well, you know, actually they seem to acknowledge that having more people and stakeholders within Harvard Square itself would be a good thing, right? I kind of agree. Well, potentially, but that's a choice you make, right?
I know.
You know, you don't move in there with the expectation that you're, you know, going to have a white picket fence and, you know,
Right.
chickens in the
guess not.
backyard, right? So, so anyway, that was pretty reasonable, and I thought, wow, well, you know,
So this might be a zoning petition?
it will be a zoning petition.
Did you hear Craig Kelly last night talking about all these one-offs, and what about the master plan, and what about
He did.
additions?
He raised issues.
It's crazy.
There was a petition on the city
Yeah.
council agenda last night came from Alexandria, which is
Oh.
actually a really minor change, and it was just sort of
Something they already have control
Yeah,
over.
right,
a pilot or
exactly. And it
whatever,
was just
yeah.
a minor change to the bigger zoning they did a few years back.
Right.
That would have allowed some more
Some kind of
innovation space.
right.
It's actually in sync with what the
Right.
council had approved for other parts of Kendall
Right.
Square. So I don't think this is going to be controversial.
Right.
So one of the council, I think it was Craig Kelly,
It
was
was
saying
Craig,
how
yeah.
like we seem to be doing these sort of like
Every
one-off
time,
zoning.
yeah.
You know, in other words, if you want to do a project, you come in, you first change the zoning, which is the
Yeah.
reverse of the way things ought to be, right?
Yeah,
I think that's a fair statement.
yeah.
But on the other hand, people keep loading up and onto Envision Cambridge saying, well, we got to just,
Well, how does Envision Cambridge go with the master plan stuff?
well, that's
That-
essentially what's creating the master plan.
Oh, okay.
But people need to understand what a master
It's
plan
still
is
gonna
and
happen,
isn't.
right.
A master plan
It's more just
sets
a-
out broad goals, may actually have some fine
recommendations, but
detail.
But meanwhile, things have to, I think that's
Things-
Carlone said, that
That's right.
things have to
Things
keep
don't-
going, so.
You can't just freeze everything.
I
so,
know.
So you proceed regardless, right? So anyway, that's kind of where we stand on that. So it was interesting. The other thing I thought was interesting, not to sort of bring up sort of controversy on this, but when they had a little presentation on this controversial.
We're still talking about the Harvard.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Brattle Street two-way bike lanes that were put in
Oh,
there.
yeah,
The overwhelming majority of people at the Harvard Square
Did not like it,
Neighborhood
right?
Association meeting
yeah.
were adamantly opposed to what the city did.
I met a bicyclist at something I volunteered at who bicycles from there. He's a main, and he hates it. So it's a bad design to have two ways.
I like the fact that they gave the convenience of allowing people to bike in that route, but I have a better plan for how this could be done.
Yeah.
But they're not listening to me. They're listening to. Actually, you know what? There was one interesting.
You know what? There's been a lot of pushback on that.
There were these two people. I think it's Nate Fillmore and Abra Berkowitz. They went up there and they sort of spoke of the joy and the wonder and how great this is. Everybody in the audience says, no, that's not true.
No, pedestrians are having to,
came back and said, but you're not looking to be chicken. There's more to come. Everything's going to be like this.
God, no.
So you're speaking to a room of people who are outraged
about something. You just
said
they don't like this, and you're going to say there's going to be more of it?
And your response is to say, you don't like that? Yeah. Oh, wait till we hit you with a lot more of it. And I thought that was pretty tone deaf, right? No. Anyway, so that
I don't want a bicyclist coming right at me. I mean, I feel okay in a bike lane. I'm glad I like those, what do you call those white things that move?
Not sure. Swans?
No, the barriers that...
the bollards or...
Yeah, those things.
Flexi posts or something like that.
I like those.
I don't know.
Well, on some places, it makes me feel a little more secure. I am not secure on a bike, but I did...
Actually, I'll just say it.
Okay.
The right way to handle that, especially Brattle Street,
yes,
is to make it back into a full-blown two-way street with a really harsh, low speed limit of about 15 miles per hour.
Oh, I disagree. Two-way street? No.
It used to be.
We got Mount Auburn to come in on.
And most people will come in that way because it's better.
And that's what these cyclists were doing. So I don't.
Right.
No, I don't like it.
So this way, if you're coming in, you're going on one side. If you're going out, you come on the other side.
Well, that's the only way to rectify that. Because if you have a one-way street but bicyclists have two ways, it makes no sense.
Right.
I'm sorry. Change that. Okay. All right.
Anyway, that was interesting. All right. One thing I'm going to say, because actually in our second half hour, we're going to have one of our school committee candidates, Peter Mitros. But I would just say, so to speak, personally, since I maintain these candidate pages.
Yes, you do. Very well, nice.
I put out all these topics for candidates to, write up statements about, free form writing, say what you want, right? And, slowly but surely been getting responses and actually enjoying reading them.
Yes.
Which has actually been good. Some candidates were a little slow in response.
Yeah.
I suspect it's because
if they have their own website, they can then.
Well, they can just copy paste them. It's easy, right?
Yeah.
But I have to say, the quality of some of the responses I've been getting back from people, actually several in the school committee and several for city council, it's actually been pretty interesting. And there's a phenomenon I've been noticing, which I didn't expect, which is that if somebody, like Sean Tierney wrote a really, really just a beautiful exposition about how to look at housing, and now all the other candidates are sort of having to respond to it.
Well, that's what happens when you put out something.
I have to say something, intelligent now too, right? I said, wow, we're kind of upping the bar here.
Well, I do think that is what's facing the next council is housing and zoning are inequality. Yes, that's always there because that's part of all that too, affordability and everything. But you got to know what's going with development. I mean, to me.
Some I think that's kind of the flaw that right now. I mean, I'm sure that within a month or so you're going to be inundated by people from the Residents Alliance or the A Better Cambridge Group and others, basically saying, we're the ones who wants to stop or slow down development, or we want to increase it to build more housing.
Sustainable development, which is good.
And they will try and make it out as though the only issue in the city is housing and development. Right?
Yeah, which is
they're big, right? But I'll tell you, when I went soliciting, the public to get some topics for candidates, they asked about a lot of other things, like basic quality of life, personal safety, traffic congestion.
Just with all the gun stuff going on, that came up. Yeah.
So if even if some interest group is trying to pretty much sell you on the idea that it's all about housing and development. I think most people in the city think, well, there are a few other things.
No, but I think in defense of those groups, at least, they would say that because the way we do housing or development does impact on quality of life and
there's no question.
There's a connection there.
There's definitely a connection, but I think in terms of people just living their lives day to day, there's a lot of other things people think about. They think about their kids. They think about the school system. They think
if
about...
they have kids in school.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot
Sure.
of people
Yeah.
do not even know about the schools.
Yeah, so anyway, it'll be interesting to see how it shapes up as the next couple months pass. But I tell you, it's kind of a funny...
The best source of information, because then you can go to their websites. If they have one, it'll be on that page, so...
Yeah. And by the way, as you pointed out, we actually have we have a little webpage for this program here, but let's not go there. The CCTV, where we are right now,
right, yes.
Actually, they will soon. I don't know, they haven't up yet. But
they have the first one, the Ward 6
well, I was going to say,
candidates.
they're going to have all the candidates who are recording little 5-minute spots.
Oh, that I didn't know
So you
about.
get little videos.
Oh, yeah, they've been doing that.
Right, if you go to the page for those right now, which is linked off the candidate pages, you'll see the one from 2015 going all the way back to about maybe 2005.
Wow. You have that linked on your page?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So that's interesting. But the thing is, they now also have a link for recordings they've made of the various candidate forms. So
which they don't do all of them, but so far. And it takes a little while to get it, because they do stream them live when they do
a little
it.
editing, yeah.
But so they will be available, and I think maybe you can put that on your site.
Yeah, I'll have it. It's on I put it on the candidate pages now. It's at the bottom of the page.
Good.
Right, it's actually on the page we've got for this particular
here it
program
is,
as
right.
well. Right.
Well, where do you see it here?
So anyway, it's there, and I know they have recordings for the Ward 6 one. I think they may have another one. There's more to come, and they're re-recording the one for the ABC one that's happening, in a half hour.
Oh, they're going to be there? Okay,
they'll be there, so all of these things will be there. So go to the forums if you can.
Yes.
Right, especially the Mid-Cambridge one. That's a great one.
Right.
But the thing is that if you miss them, you can at least get the flavor of it by tuning into some of these CCTV videos of them.
That's wonderful.
I think it would be, in your best interest as a citizen to do so. So.
Broad Institute.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So anyway, and we'll have more than happy to have other candidates in future weeks. But I'm just going to say in a few minutes we're going to have Peter Mitros, candidate for Cambridge School Committee, is coming up. So anyway, we'll see you in a few minutes on Cambridge Inside Out.